Hey guys! So a lot of you have been asking for a video explaining my tics, so this is it. In this video, I'm going to talk about what tics are and the different types of tics and my own personal journey with tics. So what are tics? Basically, they're involuntary movements, sounds, or words, meaning that you cannot control them and they're really random. You don't know when they're going to happen, and you can have a whole bunch of tics all at once, and sometimes you can go days without having tics or even weeks or months. So there are a bunch of different types of tics, but the two that I'm going to talk about today is Tourettic tics and functional tics. So Tourettic tics doesn't necessarily mean that you have Tourette syndrome. In fact, Tourette syndrome is only when you have two types of Tourettic tics. The first type being motor Tourettic tics, which involves movements, and then there's vocal Tourettic tics, which involves your voice. Now, if you only have motor Tourettic tics, you have something called persistent motor tic disorder, and if you only have vocal Tourettic tics, you have persistent vocal tic disorder. Now, if you have Tourettic tics, they typically start showing up when you're a baby. It's really rare for tics to come when you're an adolescent or an adult. And another thing about Tourettic tics is that they tend to come on gradually, like you'll see a few here and there as a baby or a small child, and they'll gradually get worse. Also, Tourettic tics are most prominent in males. Now, functional tics, on the other hand, they are caused by a condition called functional neurological disorder, and functional tics tend to be very prominent in females and have a sudden onset, meaning that you'll suddenly start having a whole bunch of tics all at once, even if you never had tics before in your entire life, and they tend to show up when you're an adolescent, but functional tics luckily do go away after a few months. Functional tics tend to be very complex, which means that you'll say a lot of words. Sometimes you'll say whole sentences and they will change. And if you see people like saying sentences and flipping you off all at the same time, those are real tics, but they're probably functional. They can happen with Tourettic tics too, but Tourettic tics tend to be very repetitive, like the same small gesture, word, or movement over and over again, while functional tics will be repetitive, but not as repetitive, and they will change a lot. And also, tics can kind of be based on the situation too. Like, you can pick up tics from things you see and hear for both Tourettic and functional tics. Also, Tourettic tics are genetic, and functional tics are not. You can actually catch functional tics, so bear with me here. From how my doctors explained it to me, you can get functional tics by seeing and thinking about ticking. So, when 2020 there was a big trend on TikTok for Tourette syndrome and you saw all these people having tics, it just so happened that around that same time, a lot of people started having tics. And this had never happened before. Tourette syndrome used to be pretty rare, and then all of a sudden they were having a whole bunch of teens going to the ER for having tics that were so bad that they had to be hospitalized. And a lot of people got misdiagnosed with Tourette syndrome, but most of those tics actually turned out to be functional tics. And I'm not saying tics are contagious in the way that I'll cough on you and you're gonna get tics, but if you see it over and over and over again and it's around you and you think about it, you can kind of like accidentally get tics. And don't get me wrong, those tics are completely real. You cannot control them at all. I have functional tics, so I know. But sometimes it's not good to obsess about it, which is what happened for me. So in my experience personally, I've had tics since I was a child, but I did not know that they were tics. I thought that they were normal because they were so small and insignificant that it did not affect me. Like, I would have a weird nose twitch here and there, or my hand would jerk like that. But I did not think of anything of it because they were so insignificant. I didn't think it was anything worth going to the doctors for. And I also thought that everyone twitched like that and it was normal. Spoiler alert, it was not normal. So for me, personally, it wasn't social media that I caught tics. It was actually a friend of mine. She started having tics at the same time. I was kind of thinking like, what if I have tics? Because I have been having twitches since I was a kid, but it doesn't really matter. So I was kind of thinking about it. I'd notice my tics here and there and just be like, that's weird, maybe I should go to the doctor for it, but I just never did. It wasn't that big of a deal for me. Until one day, my tics got really bad. It didn't happen in one day. It was about like 2 or 3 weeks where my tics just went insane. Like, I started swearing, flipping people off. I was saying sentences and it was crazy. I was having these crazy tics, and in my own head, I was thinking, this isn't real. Like, I must be making this up. I'm faking this. I did not know what was going on. And so I went to a doctor, and when they asked me, oh, when did you first start having tics? I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure I had tics since I was a child. But they were like, from the looks of it, it looks like you have functional tics because A, you're a girl, B, it's happening suddenly, C, you're an adolescent. And I had been exposed to tics before this. Like, I had been thinking about it and watching videos on it, and my friend had it. And so they diagnosed me with functional tics. But I also saw a tic specialist, and then I talked to her about it, and I told her that I had these tics since I was a kid. But something I had noticed is that, like, the tics that I had since I was a kid felt different from the functional tics. I don't really know how to explain it. She told me that I have both Tourette tics and functional tics. Hey guys, it's me editing here. I forgot to mention that the other reason that she diagnosed me with Tourette tics is because she gave me a medication that's only supposed to work for Tourette tics, and it helped a lot. So basically what happened is that since I had Tourette tics and since I was exposed to it, I was thinking about it a lot, and that manifested in me getting functional tics really suddenly, and they were really crazy. That's why there's some videos where I had some really crazy, funny tics. But luckily for me, my functional tics has gone away for the most part. I still have some functional tics here and there, but most of my tics right now are Tourette tics. That's why I'm like not ticking at all in this video. And sometimes my tics will get worse. Like, sometimes I will have some days where my tics are just not having fun, and my tics tend to get worse when I don't have enough sleep or when I'm anxious. But yeah, all those tics that I used to post about that were really funny and crazy, those are real, but those are functional tics, and that's why they're so complex. If you see me do something like maybe jerk my head like that, it's probably a Tourette tic. My Tourette tics tend to be a lot more simple. So I hope I clarified that for you. And my functional tics might come back, and if they do come back, they would be pretty bad, but I would get through it. It usually goes away in a few months, like how it did for me. Another thing is that if you talk about your tics tend to get worse. So that's why I had to do this video when my tics were really good. Otherwise, I would be having tics like crazy. Since I have virtually no tics right now, I decided to make this video. Hi, it's me editing here again. I just wanted to let you know and kind of give a disclaimer that I am not a medical professional, and everything that I'm telling you is from my own personal experience or from what the doctors have told me or from what I saw online. So make sure to take everything I say with a grain of salt and do your own research. Also, sorry about my dog barking in the background. And yeah, so I hope I clarified some things for you, and let me know if you have any questions. Bye!